Episode of The Saint, followed at 9:30 by Sergeant Preston. We'll be back with full news coverage 1 hour from now. It's 8:59.
The Adventures of the Saint, starring Vincent Price. The Saint, based on characters created by Leslie Charteris and known to millions from books, magazines, and motion pictures. The Robin Hood of modern crime now comes transcribed to radio, starring Hollywood's brilliant and talented actor Vincent Price as The Saint.
Well, hello.
Who is...
How is my favorite shipboard acquaintance this evening?
Oh, Simon, you startled me. I could hardly see you through the fog here on deck.
Oh, yes, it is getting thicker, isn't it? But I suppose it's to be expected. Last night, nature went on a binge of moonshine, and this is her foggy morning after.
Only it's evening.
How can you tell through the fog? So you know you have a very pretty laugh, Barbara. I'll listen for it in all of your pictures from now on.
Thank you, Simon. But I'm not going to make any more pictures. I'm retiring.
Retiring? At the peak of your career?
I'm just tired of pictures, that's all.
Barbara, you'll never be able to run away from it.
What do you mean?
I'm referring to whatever it is that frightens you. Why don't you tell me about it, Barbara?
There's nothing to tell. I'm tired. I need a rest. Please, Simon, don't make me talk about it. There's some things that... Simon, is that someone standing there?
No, I don't see anyone. Oh, you are nervous.
Oh, Simon, if only I could confide in someone, if I could tell you what I...
Perhaps I already know more than you think I do. You're cold.
Yes.
Where's your raft?
It's over there someplace on one of those deck chairs.
I'll find it. I don't see it here, Barbara. Are you sure you... Barbara! Behind you! Look out! Barbara! Barbara! Man overboard! Man overboard!
Maybe you'd like a swim too, Saint.
What? Oh.
Mr. Templar? Mr. Templar?
Hello. I suppose the usual question is, where am I?
Sometimes they awaken from your type of custom-made coma asking, who am I?
Evidently, I wasn't hit quite that hard. I even remember who you are, Dr. Norman. It is Dr. Norman, the celebrated psychiatrist, isn't it?
Yeah, that is very good, Templar, but I'm afraid I must still confine you here to the ship's infirmary for a while.
Huh?
Possible concussion, you know.
See, tell me what makes a famous neurologist like you pose as a mere ship's doctor.
I'm really not posing. Partridge, the ship's physician, is ill. I was within earshot when I heard the familiar call, is there a doctor in the house? And, no, Simon, don't try to get up. I have a flask here. If a drink will make you happy.
Oh, not right now, thank you. As I recall, I have some unfinished business to attend to.
Barbara?
Yes. Was she?
They couldn't find her in the fog. She's gone.
Poor Barbara.
Yes, it was a horrible accident.
Horrible, yes. Accident, no.
You mean to say she didn't fall overboard?
She was murdered.
Murdered? But who?
I think I know who. Ooh, my head. It feels like the Aberdeen Proving Ground.
I will mix you a sedative. You know, you're not looking very well.
I always look like this when I'm angry. There's only one cure.
Yes, I know. The lady with the scales known as Madame Justice. You know, Templar, I've been curious about what makes a man like you tick.
Well, I'll tell you. Every 8 days or so, someone winds me up. Right now, I'm wound up tight with fury.
Well, as a psychiatrist, I would advise you to unwind a bit. Here we you are. Now drink this. It will put you to sleep after a while.
Oh, thank you.
You say you think you know who killed Barbara, Simon.
I was wrong. I do know.
Well, I think you ought to talk to me. Unwind yourself.
Oh, you think I need psychiatry, Doctor?
Well, I think you're too taut at the moment. That plus your concussion, it might be dangerous.
Very well, Doctor. I'll unwind. I'll tell you the entire story.
If you don't mind, Simon, here, this will help the rhythm.
Huh?
It's a metronome. Psychiatrists often use them. But if you'd rather...
No, I don't mind. I'd never met Barbara Brooks, although I doubt if there's a human being alive who hasn't heard of her or seen her in the movies. I first saw her the day we boarded ship. There was something in her expression, in the way she walked and talked and smiled, that immediately told me here was someone I should know. Her entire demeanor was an attitude of invitation.
A romance.
Here, Doctor. She was a frightened lady. She wanted someone near her. I walked over to her there on deck and immediately made myself useful. Her steward evidently had become busy elsewhere, so I tipped my hat and said somewhat idiotically, get your program here, lady. You can't tell the staterooms without the numbers.
I beg your pardon.
Your steward seems to have deserted you.
Oh.
I've sailed this scow before, so if it's the direction to your stateroom you're looking
But
for...
I would like to know.
I would, too. Number, please.
A36 main deck.
Thank you very, very much. It's this way. My name's Templar. Simon, for short. And, of course, you're Barbara Brooks. You know, we passed the bar en route to A36 main deck. Does an old-fashioned with a new acquaintance sound inviting?
It will a little later after...
Huh?
He's here on the ship.
Ooh, there are several... Oh, I see.
He's gone now. He's turned the corner.
Yeah, I think I saw the man you meant. Certain off-center gentleman named Rader.
Rader? I don't know that name.
No, surely you've heard of Phil Rader. He's just as big a star in his line of work as you are in yours.
What is his line of work?
Well, he's an exterminator of human beings.
Mr. Templar, I'm afraid.
Oh, that was obvious from the moment I first saw you. Why don't you tell me about it?
Oh, no, I can't. No, I'd be killed.
Well, that's as good a reason as any for not telling me, but I must warn you I have a peculiar talent for finding things out for myself.
Oh, no, you mustn't do anything. Please, please.
Hello, Rader.
Well, Miss Saint,
Mm-hmm.
world's getting smaller.
Yes, but I understand you're doing your share to see that it doesn't get overcrowded. Traveling for your health again, or just traveling?
Just traveling.
Rader, why does the mere glimpse of you rounding a corner start a lady's teeth to chattering?
Lady, I don't know any ladies.
Obviously.
Maybe she thought I was someone else.
Maybe. And if you're of a mind to annoy her, you'll wish you were.
Look, Saint, just soak up sunshine on this cruise. Don't go poking in any dark places. Might be bad for you.
Oh, what sort of bad, Rader?
Look, big shot, just so there's no misunderstanding. You butt in where you ain't welcome on this cruise, and...
Yes?
And I'll kill you.
How is your head, Simon?
And it feels as if a regimental crap game was going on inside of it with jet-propelled dice.
You haven't drunk your sedative yet. Here.
Oh, thank you. Shall I go on taking the load off of my concussion?
Yes, by all means. I think I was present at the next sequence.
Yes, Doctor, you were. It was the night of that ridiculous costume ball ship's captains are so fond of arranging.
Yes. I remember. We were at the bar together. You were a pirate, I recall.
Yes, and you were a clown. The ball was loaded with clowns, and some of them not even aware of their clownishness. But it was gay and sprightly, and the music was good. I remember our conversation, Doctor. You suddenly appeared at my elbow and said in the most shivery, sinister manner...
You know, Templar, I have a confession to make to you.
Well, I'm always interested in confessions, Doctor.
I've had a schoolboy crush on the beautiful Barbara ever since I saw her in pictures first. Tell me, what does one do about it?
Well, I know exactly what I would do if I were you, Doctor.
Yes?
I'd consult the nearest psychiatrist.
At the prices we charge? No, thanks. I was hoping you'd cut a fellow in on your acquaintanceship, Templar. But if you won't introduce me, won't you at least show me which mask she's hiding under? I think I might be able to make my own introduction.
Oh, very well, Doctor. Look for a sylph-like figure in a blue and yellow harlequin costume.
Thank you, Templar, thank you. And if you should ever need a good psychiatrist...
At the prices you charge?
I will be seeing you.
Don't turn around, Mr. Templar. I have a pistol in the small of your back.
Well, now, really, is that any way to enjoy a waltz?
Listen, Saint, and listen hard.
Oh, I'm all ears, except for the small of my back, which feels abnormally large at the moment.
Certain arrangements have been made, Saint. It means a big head of lettuce if they go through.
So?
All the signs say keep out. See that you do. Now, don't turn around. This costume's so pretty, I'd hate to have to put a hole through my pocket.
Well, it's probably just a coincidence, but I've acquired the same regard for the small of my back.
Keep regarding it that way, Saint. Don't let your nose wander where it doesn't belong. And you might begin by forgetting you saw certain people aboard this boat.
See, just tell me how you're going to swing it, Mrs. Miller. Oh, don't be surprised. I'd recognize the notorious Lil Miller's voice on a party line. How are you going to take him, Lil? A palm date or perhaps a marked deck?
This rod has a hair trigger, Saint. Just a touch and you're...
Lil, what's the matter?
That girl there, the one in the holiday.
Lil.
You're lucky, Saint. I'd have shot.
Give her here. Don't crowd. Crowd her all you want to. She won't mind now.
Is she?
Yes, a stiletto in the back leaves very little doubt. She's dead.
You know, Simon, I would never have pegged the late Mrs. Miller for a professional card sharp. She was anything but the type.
Professional card sharps are always anything but the type, Doctor.
Yeah. And to think I actually played bridge with her myself, with a crook and a hot-headed one at that.
Well, as my old grandmother used to say, Doctor, beware of lady thieves with red hair.
I guess the lady's red hair accounted for the lack of insulation in her temperament. Oh, how does your head feel, Simon?
Better, Doctor. Much better.
You still haven't touched your sedative, you know.
Oh, haven't I?
I think you'll find that it helps, Simon. Here.
Oh, thank you. Well, you know, shortly after the murder of Mrs. Miller, Doctor, I called on her bereaved husband and partner in crime. A very interesting visit it was, too.
You have the knack for making all of your visits interesting, Simon. Tell me about it.
Well, I found Miller in the bar, quenching his sorrow with the merry waters of the River of Forgetfulness.
50 grand in the palm of our hands and beef. No more Lil. No more Lil, no more sucker. No more sucker, beef. No more 50 grand.
I see you valued your wife highly. Who was the sucker, Miller?
Ha ha. You're funny.
Tell me, what's Phil Rader cruising for, Miller? And don't tell me it's a coincidence he's on board the same ship.
You get funnier and funnier.
Why is Barbara Brooks so afraid of Rader?
You ain't even warm, Saint. You're a mile wide of the target.
And I'd better use a different kind of ammunition then, Miller.
Yeah? Like what?
Like a little murder performed on an unwilling sucker in Reno.
Huh? What do you know about that?
You won't like going back to Reno, Miller. It gets hot in the summertime, especially in the penitentiary.
Rader was with me on this deal.
All right, Miller, put the zipper on.
Rader. I wasn't going to say anything, Phil. Honest, I was just...
Skip it, Miller. I always knew someday you'd show Canary Yellow. I thought you and I had a little understanding, Saint.
You've got a reputation for wrong thoughts, Rader.
Yeah, but right or wrong, I back my ideas up. To the hilt, Saint.
Keep that frog sticker undercover, Rader, or I might take it away from you. And the Dutch courage that rides with it, too.
I'll keep it hidden for now. You just be careful of the places where the lights don't shine, Saint. Come on, Miller, I want to talk with you.
Well, I'll be out in a little while, Phil. I want a drink.
You've drunk enough, Canary. Come on.
You'd better go, Miller. And if you can't talk your way out of it, my regards to the fishes.
I recall it was shortly after Mr. Rader passed on his second warning that you and I met for the first time professionally.
Yes, Doctor, the very next night.
Well, I am very surprised at you. He'd warned you to stay away from dark places.
Yes, Doctor, so he had. But I'm perverse by nature, and I like to poke around. I was strolling around the deck with Barbara, getting moonburned and trying desperately to get some more information.
So wonderful having you near, Simon. I feel safe.
Safe? I refuse to accept the compliment, particularly on a moonlit night at sea.
I'm referring to danger, Simon, not romance.
We're often the very same thing. I'd like to join the team, Barbara. Why don't you confide in me?
Because if I did, we'd both be dead by morning. I must go now. Good night, Simon.
Good night.
Don't turn around, Templar. I've got a...
I know. A gun pointed at the small of my back.
That's it. Now keep away from Barbara Brooks. Am I clear?
Clear enough. Anything else?
Yeah. Just so it sinks in, Saint. Take this along to remember me by.
Once again, you enter the picture, Dr. Norman. You found me there, lying on the deck, basking in moonlight.
And blood. Go on, Simon. Tell me the rest of it.
Well, after your neat job of vulcanizing me, thus saving me a trip to the ship's doctor and innumerable words of explanation, I hit upon a strategy, and my next visit found me calling in the lion's den. I tell you, you're being made a patsy raider. You're on the verge of being demoted back to second-class hoodlum.
I can take care of myself.
Well, I admit a minor sandbagging committed in your good name doesn't amount to much, Raider. But what if the same someone likes your name and decides to use it in other ways?
What do you mean?
I mean murder. You're a lead pipe cinch to pay for one of your own someday, Raider. But meanwhile, how would you feel getting hung for somebody else's shenanigans?
I'd be annoyed.
You sure would.
Look, I'm not rigged up with no murder, Saint. Lil meant 50 grand to us alive. That's what we figured the sucker was good for.
Well, it's a good enough reason for wanting Lil among the present instead of the late, Raider. Tell me, what was the angle? Blackmail?
Nah, nothing so crude, Saint. I sponsor the party, spot him, finger him, and oil him, and the millers squeeze him through a deck of cards. The guy's a sucker for good-looking dames and card games, that's all.
That sounds very uncomplicated, easy picking.
The guy ain't had the coin long enough to be smart about it.
Who's the guy?
He makes water heaters.
The fat man with the diamonds from Passaic?
Yeah, that's the sucker.
I should have tumbled.
Looks like you did. I thought you were out for a bust-up. And 50 G's a lot of money, Saint. I figured if I could scare you, it'd be insurance.
How about Barbara Brooks?
Deal me out. I'm not in on whatever the caper is there.
She saw you the day we sailed, and she got scared.
Well, maybe it's because I ain't exactly pretty.
Yeah.
But if you really want to know something, Saint, I'll tell you. I was propositioned on a stunt against that dame a few weeks before we sailed. I turned her down. A big dough, too.
A murder deal?
Yeah, big dough to bump her off. Not for me, though. Nah, she's too prominent. Too much heat on those jobs.
Who made the offer, Raider?
He wasn't exactly interested in leaving his calling card, Saint. Just a John Smith, as far as I'm concerned.
But he had a description, didn't he? Everybody has a description.
Well, sure. He was a medium-sized guy with... Hey, the lights. Who turned them off?
Get down! Raider, are you...
Brown tie. Blue shirt. Brown tie. Blue shirt.
Brown tie, blue shirt. Not a very harmonious color scheme, is it? Raider.
Yeah.
Thank you, Raider. At least your last earthly utterance was in the direction of good. Thank you.
Brown tie, blue shirt. What did he mean, Simon?
Well, it means that either the man for whom I search isn't a very fastidious dresser, Doctor, or else he's colorblind. Blue and brown just aren't worn together.
Well, no, they are.
I'll take that drink now, Doctor.
Oh, and the sedative I mixed for you. Your concussion.
Later, Doctor, later.
Very well. I can see that you're going to be a very difficult patient. I hope you don't mind drinking out of another medicine glass, eh?
No, right now I prefer it.
Say when?
A little more, Doctor. That's fine. Has such a beautiful color, hasn't it, Doctor?
Yeah, hasn't it so? Aren't you going to drink it, Simon?
In a moment, Doctor, when I finish my story.
Oh, yes, of course, the story. Barbara's murder was next.
Yes, Barbara was next. But immediately before our last meeting on deck in the fog, Doctor, I found out what she was afraid of.
You did? But how?
It was easy. The steward had some keys. I had some money. The steward has enough now for that chicken ranch he's always dreamed of.
You broke into Barbara's stateroom.
Yes.
Well, what did you find, Simon?
Lingerie, perfume, stockings, and some letters, Doctor. Peculiar letters.
Huh? Handmade?
Yes. Yes, and all from the same fan. A fan she was once engaged to marry, Doctor. A fan who loved her very much and hated her in equal proportions. Who was so torn between love and hate, he had to kill her.
It's schizophrenic.
You should know.
What do you mean?
Well, you know the classifications. You're the doctor.
Oh. Yes. Drink your sedative, Simon.
A colorblind schizophrenic. I don't believe I've ever met one before, Dr. Norman. So colorblind, he mistook the green and orange harlequin costume worn by Lil Miller for the blue and yellow one worn by Barbara.
That is very interesting, Simon.
Poor Lil. If she'd come to the ball as anything but a harlequin, she'd have lived to take in $50,000.
Your sedative, Simon.
You know, you were wrong about Lil's hair, Doctor. It wasn't red. It was brown.
You said it was red.
I wanted to see if you'd agree.
Your sedative.
Yes, of course. Hand it to me, would you, Doctor? Stay alongside the drink.
Yeah.
No, don't try to tell them apart by their aromas, Doctor. It's obvious that they're different colors. Or can't you tell?
You find it, Saint. I'd like very much for you to drink it.
My doctor, what a pretty purple gun you're wearing. Or is it pink?
Drink up, Templar. You hardly feel it. It's just a dash of prussic acid.
Dr. Norman, when you give a sedative, you go overboard.
Drink it, Templar.
Well, you're the doctor. A toast to you, Dr. Norman. To your green shirt, blue tie, and gray handkerchief, none of which match. Here's how.
Oh, my eyes! You threw it in my eyes!
It was a question of your eyes or my stomach, Doctor.
My eyes, I'm blind!
You'll get over it, Doctor, which is more than can be said of me if one of those wild shots of yours should hit me. I know I shouldn't practice medicine without a license, Doctor, any more than you should. But here's a sedative from me to you. Pleasant nightmares, Dr. Norman.
You have been listening to another adventure of the Saint, the Robin Hood of modern crime. And now here is our star, Vincent Price.
Ladies and gentlemen, in a prejudice-filled America, no one would be secure in his job, his business, his church, or his home. Yet racial and religious antagonisms are exploited daily by quacks and adventurers whose followers make up the irresponsible lunatic fringe of America. Refuse to listen to or spread rumors against any race or religion. Help to stamp out prejudice in our country. Let's judge our neighbors by the character of their lives alone, and not on the basis of their religion or origin. This is Vincent Price inviting you to join us again next week at the same time for another exciting adventure of the Saint. Good night.
Drum Hour continues with Part 2. More great entertainment from radio's golden past here on KNX 1070.
Now, as gunshots echo across the wind-swept, snow-covered reaches of the wild Northwest, the challenge of the Yukon. It's Yukon King, swiftest and strongest lead dog of the Northwest, blazing the trail of dog Yukon King as they meet the challenge of the Yukon. At Whitehorse in the Yukon Territory, the short summer was drawing to a close. There was a crispness in the air that old-timers recognized as a forewarning of sudden freezing temperatures and heavy snows. But the main topic of conversation was of something far removed from the weather. Instead, men talked of a small, ruthless gang which was said to have crossed the border at Skagway. This gang struck wherever they thought they'd find gold for which others had labored. They had struck at the initial group of prospectors to leave for the States that season. As they were packing their gold and supplies through White Pass towards Skagway...
Sure is good to be going back to the States. I've been up here nigh on to 3 years.
Yeah, folks will be surprised at the gold I'm bringing back. Gonna open me a little general store in Frisco and settle down. Get going there.
Made my strike right after the last thaw, and then I sold out. I've seen enough of Whitehorse for the time being, I can tell you. Once I get on that boat, Hey, look up ahead.
Jump in, Juniper. It's a gang of bandits, that's what. Here's where we lose everything we got.
Not me. I worked too hard for it.
All right, get the gold off those horses. The next time they struck was at a prospector's cabin on Lake LaBarge near Whitehorse.
What do you want?
Who are you? I'd get out of the way, you old goat. Let the rest of me get inside and find his gold. Bring out what we can use and then set fire to the cabin. Now get going. But the climax came when they held up the Whitehorse Hotel, the night when many of the prospectors had come in from miles around to wait for the first river packet to Selkirk. Most of them were sleeping, and their gold and valuables were in the hotel safe. Don't anybody move. This is a holdup.
Great kid, gang of robbers. Here goes all our gold.
You, Click. Give me everything that's in the safe. Be quick about it.
Yes, sir. I'll give it to you right away.
Because of their elusiveness, the gang had become known as the Phantom Gang. The name struck terror in the hearts of most of the hard-working prospectors. And in Whitehorse, the businessmen called a meeting to cope with the situation.
Men, I called you to my trading post to discuss the Phantom Gang. We gotta do something about them before they ruin us. Now, to my way of thinking, there's only one man here in the Yukon that can stop the gang and put them where they belong. And that's Sergeant Preston, along with his dog King. Now, I sent a letter on the river packet to Selkirk asking Sergeant Preston to come here. And without a doubt, he'll be coming along any day now. Meantime, keep a sharp eye out for any strangers about town, so we can give Preston plenty of information to go on.
Yes, sir. Him and that dog will find the gang.
We'll do all we can to help Preston, Mike.
Oh, yes, sir. Now we'll wait till he gets here before we make any other plans. And that's all I got to say right now.
That's a great idea.
2 days later, Sergeant Preston and King arrived in Whitehorse. Preston got all the details of the Phantom Gang's actions from Mike Quinn.
I tell you, Sergeant, them crooks has got everybody on edge around here. Sure, and you never know when you'll be the next victim of that Phantom Gang.
Anybody know how many there are in that gang, Mike?
Well, now, some says there's almost 100, and others say 8 or 10. Between you and me, I'd say there's maybe 3 or 4, Sergeant.
That's more like it. I'll make inquiries around town and find out all I can.
Go to the hotel, Sergeant. That's where the gang made the last holdup. They were all on horses.
I see. Well, they won't be able to use horses much longer. About time for winter to hit.
That's right. Give us one good blizzard, and them crooks will have to give up their horses and lose dogs.
Yes, and it should be easier to track them then. I'll ride on down to the hotel, Mike. See you later. Come on, King.
So long, Sergeant. Goodbye, King.
Steady there, fella.
Oh, no.
Sergeant Preston rode the short distance to the cafe and reined up.
Oh, there. Oh, easy.
Come on, King. Maybe we can find out something in here.
Hi there, Sergeant Preston.
Glad to see you again.
Hello, boys.
Hi there, Sergeant.
Hello, Fred.
What can I do for you?
I'm here trying to get some information.
Sure. What do you want to know?
Going on down to the hotel to ask about the robbery that took place there, but I thought I'd stop here first and see if you could tell me anything about the Phantom Gang.
Well, isn't much I can tell you, Sergeant. All I know is they seem to strike when the iron's hot. They've got the whole town worried. You can bet on that.
I can understand that. Now, look, Fred. Keep your eyes open for any strangers that might look suspicious. Let me know. I've come here from Selkirk in response to a note I received from Mike Quinn. I haven't much to go on in hunting down that gang.
They're sure a slippery lot. They won't be easy to catch up with.
That's right, sir. I don't expect it to be easy, but I'm going to keep at it until I do run them down. Going on down to the hotel now, but I'll come back shortly and talk to some of your men. One of you might say something that'll give me a clue to start on. Well, let's get going, King. Meantime, in an old cabin on the shore of Lake LaBarge, a heavy-set man looked up as he heard hoofs stopping outside.
Must be Bird. Well, where's Jim and Red?
At the cafe in Whitehorse, Liz.
I thought I told those fools to stay out of town. Next thing you know, somebody will get wise.
Let them alone.
We can't take chances.
Lots of strangers come through there this time of year. Packet boat from Selkirk brought in some new prospectors.
Well, if those two get loose tongues and say something out of the way, I don't know.
They know better than that. Stop worrying.
What brought you back so soon?
Well, I got to thinking, Les. Those new prospectors that come in on the packet have been spending a lot of money at the trading post for supplies and stuff.
Well... Yeah, maybe we could.
Maybe tomorrow night would be a good time. Packet boat goes back up the river the following morning. Last trip of the season.
Good. We'd have to get out of this cabin anyhow before winter sets in.
That's right. Hey, sounds like Red and Jim coming now.
Yeah. Wonder what brought them back. Well, I didn't expect you back until evening.
Here we found out something and come to tell you, Les.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, what's the big news, Red?
There's a Mountie in town. There's a big dog with him. It's a Sergeant Preston we heard about.
Sergeant Preston, a white horse, you say?
That's right. He come in on the packet from Selkirk. He was in the cafe a while ago asking questions.
That's not so good.
We've run into Mounties before, Les. What are you worrying about?
I guess you haven't heard too much about that particular Mountie, but I have. Preston and that dog of his are dynamite.
That's what I heard.
The barkeep said Preston's here to hunt down the Phantom Gang, and that's us, don't forget. He hasn't got any line on us. We always covered part of our faces. Nobody can identify us.
Yeah, that's right.
Our horse is ordinary looking, like several others in town.
Yeah, what you say is true, but...
You gonna let him be in there scare us out of pulling that trading post job? We'd get plenty there.
A trading post?
You thinking of robbing that? Why not? It'd be easy. Like I was telling Liz, that trading post is doing a landslide business since the packet come in.
Yeah, it has.
Liz, I say let's do as we plan. Then we can pull stakes and take the packet to Selkirk. We'll hold up for the winter.
Well, it's all right with me. We'll be taking an awful chance, though.
Not with the idea I have in mind to get that Mountie and dog out of the way. Now just make your plans to rob the trading post. You leave the Mountie to me.
The following day, the crooks made their plan.
All right, Bert. What's your plan to get the Mountie and dog away from town?
Yeah, and it better be good.
We can't take any chances. Now listen and I'll tell you.
Go ahead, we're listening.
We'll clear out right now, taking the stuff we want to carry along with us.
Then what?
We'll set fire to the cabin. Then we'll light out for town, splitting up and riding in one at a time.
But what about the Mountie?
I'm getting to that, Red. I'll go find the Mountie, acting all upset. Tell him the Phantom Gang has raided my cabin out here. Him and the dog will come out to investigate.
I get it. While they're wasting their time out here, we rob the trading post.
Yeah, that's it, Les. After we rob the trading post, we'll separate. Then we'll go to the boat one at a time, making sure we're all on it by sailing time in the morning.
Yeah, that Mountie and dog are good at tracking, though. Suppose they find us.
Temperatures dropped to zero outside. That ground's frozen hard. It'll be tough tracking anyone on it.
Bert's right about that.
All right. Let's get packed up, and then we'll fire the cabin. Come on, let's get busy.
Come on.
Later that afternoon, Bert rode hurriedly up to the cafe and dismounted.
Oh, there. Ho, boy. Ho. Hey, has anyone seen that Bonnie? Sergeant Preston?
Here I am. What's happening?
Oh, gosh, I'm so glad I found you here, Sergeant.
What's the matter?
The Phantom Gang. I'm a prospector. They raided my cabin, took all I had and burned it down.
The gang struck again. You're lucky to be alive, Mr.
That's right.
How'd you get away from them?
I saw them coming. I went out and hid back in the cabin until they left. Then I came here to find you.
Steady, fella. Get this man a bit of brandy, somebody. Now listen, fella. Where was your cabin located?
The south end of Lake Labarge.
I'll go right out there. Come on, gang.
We'll continue our story in just a moment.
Welcome to Hawaii.
All you need to know, KNX 1070 News Radio.
Now to continue our story. Believing what had been told to him by the crook Bert, Sergeant Preston and King hurriedly left the cafe. The Mountie stopped a moment and looked at Bert's lathered horse.
That must be the horse that prospector rode into town, King. Well, I'll mount up. We'll go out there to investigate. Steady, fella. Let's go, King. And fella!
By the time Sergeant Preston and King arrived at the smoldering cabin, the sky was heavily overcast with the threat of snow. It had taken the best part of an hour to get there, and as Preston dismounted, King stood panting from the long run.
What a run you had, King. Now, come on, boy. We'll have a look around. Did a good job of burning down the cabin, all right. Practically nothing left of it. The prospector was lucky to get away. Last raid they made out here, the Phantom Gang not only burned down the cabin, they killed the owner. He said he hid behind the cabin. No outbuildings back there. What is it, fella? Oh, I guess you've caught a scent you recognize. Probably that prospector's horse that you were near him in town. Well, fella, I guess what... Wait a minute. His horse. The gang would have seen it. If it had been near the cabin, they certainly wouldn't have left the horse. In fact, they'd have known the man was close by and would have hunted him down. Come on, fella, hurry. What I think's true, King. We've been badly fooled. Steady, fella. Come along, King. Get there. Come on
now. Back in Whitehorse, it was supper time, and the usual hangers-on at the trading post had left to eat. Mike Quinn was alone behind the counter.
Sure, and this is the last good day I'll be having this season, no doubt, till the packet boat starts running again. Well, might as well fix myself a bite to eat.
As Mike started toward the back room, the front door opened and four men entered. Mike's heart sank as he saw the handkerchief-covered faces and the drawn guns.
Great saints. There's the Phantom Gang itself.
Reach, mister. Don't make a move.
Sure, and I'm reaching almost to the ceiling, as you can readily see.
Keep him covered, Les. I'll get to the safe.
Right.
Come on, boys.
All right.
It is my misfortune not to have locked the safe with all the gold I've took in this day.
Shut up. Hurry up, Bert. Somebody might come in.
Yeah, I'm watching the door. If they do, it's their bad luck.
Yeah, we got it all. Now let's get out of here.
Sure, and if Sergeant Preston and King was to come along, you'd not be leaving.
Don't worry. They aren't even in town. They're out hunting the Phantom Gang. I'm in. Ready, Bert?
Yeah, let's get going.
You won't get far, I can tell you that.
You won't give the alarm, mister. This settles you. All right, come on. Let's beat it quick.
Hurry up, boys. Come on. Now we'll separate. I'll meet you all on the boat.
Right.
Now get going. Get up. Get up.
Within the hour, Sergeant Preston and King arrived in town and stopped at the cafe.
Hold there. Steady, fella. On, King.
Hey, I'll tell you, boys. Well, here's Sergeant Preston now.
Been looking for you, Sergeant.
What's happened?
Plenty. Phantom Gang robbed the trading post and shot Mike Quinn.
What? How is Mike?
He got a slug in the shoulder. He'll be all right.
I'll go right over there. Come along, King.
A short time later, Preston had heard the story from Mike.
Yeah, they was brazen as all get out, Sergeant. that they were.
Sorry I was away from town when it happened, Mike.
I told them if you and King were about, they wouldn't get away with it. But one of them spoke up and said you was away from town chasing the Phantom Gang.
Huh?
Then all of them laughed.
One of them said that, eh?
That's right, he did. It was a big man, sort of.
I see. King and I are going to take a look outside, Mike. Come on, fella. Okay, what I think is right. It's up to you. Look around, boy. See what you can find out here. No wonder they laughed, getting me to fall for a trick like that. What is it, King? Find something? Must be that horse's scent again, eh? All right, boy. Find him. After him, King. Get there, fella.
For some time, Preston followed King as the great dog ran before him, sniffing the ground and barking intermittently. Preston was puzzled by the route the gang had seemed to have taken. The trail of Bert's horse led the Mountie and dog in a great circle around the town. Soon snow began to fall, and then Preston noticed the imprint of the hoofs of only one horse. He drew rein for a moment.
Oh, there. Oh, I don't quite get this. Wait a minute, King. We don't want to go on another wild goose chase. Well, if I got one of the gang, I'll be able to get a lead on the others. Go on, King. Get up, fella.
Meantime, Bert, the outlaw, had ridden in a great circle far from town. When the snow began to fall, he reined up for a moment and looked back. Then he sat listening.
If that Monty should by any chance be following one of our trails, this snow will show up the tracks. I guess I'd better go on. He don't seem to be coming after me anyway. Get up there.
On and on through the cold Yukon night, Bert determined to make sure Sergeant Preston didn't find out where they were going to meet. The wind-driven snow blew into his face and clung to his clothing, causing him to ride slower than he had been going. Once again, Bert drew rein to rest his horse and to listen.
Oh there. I guess I'll soon reach where I'm heading safe enough. Hey.
The wind was blowing now from behind, since Bert had turned back in the direction of town. And as he sat listening, the expression changed on his face as he heard the distant barking of a dog.
A dog? Maybe it's Preston's dog trailing me. Must be. I'll ride up ahead of that ridge and wait. If it is, I'll gun the Monty down and light out before the dog can get to me. All right, get up there.
Sergeant Preston rode along behind King, who, sniffing and barking, still followed the trail of the crooked. Suddenly, as he approached an icy ridge that loomed up a short distance ahead, a shot rang out.
Oh there. Steady. King, come here. One of them's up behind that ridge, fella. He's got us in the open, but because of the snow, he can't see us too well. That's too close for comfort. We'll go after him, King. Steady. On there, come up.
Riding forward at a fast pace, Sergeant Preston and King hoped to get to a point where they could see the man they were hunting. But suddenly, striking an icy stretch of ground, Preston's horse slipped and fell. A hard fall on the exposed ice stunned Preston for a few moments. When he regained his senses, King was licking his face and whining.
That was quite a fall, fella. I see my horse is up. Seems to be all right. This time, I guess that cook's going on. Steady, fella. All right, King, we'll try to turn him once more. After him, boy. Get up, fella!
It was dawn, and the cold gray brightness of the Yukon night gave way to dull leaden skies and light falling snow as Sergeant Preston and King approached the end of the trail they were following.
I might have known. Trail leads right back to the waterfront in Whitehead. Quiet, King. Quiet, fella. The last boat of the season for Selkirk. Come on there. Get up now.
Realizing the whistle he had heard was the warning whistle from the boat, meaning it would be leaving in a few minutes, Preston urged his horse into a fast gait and soon reached the gangplank.
Oh, fella, there. Steady up. Come on, King. Hurry.
King and Preston hurried up the gangplank and once aboard went to the captain in the wheelhouse.
Captain.
Oh, Sergeant Preston.
Captain, I have reason to believe the Phantom Gang's aboard your boat.
The Phantom Gang?
Yes. Did you have any passengers come aboard during the night?
Yep. Seems like there are about 4 of them that came aboard at different times. But they're bunking together in one big cabin.
Oh? Show me that cabin, will you?
Sure. But if they are the Phantom Gang, you might run into trouble. They're in cabin 5, right down the deck in the port side.
Thanks. I'll find it. Come along, King.
In the largest cabin on the boat, Bert, with Les and Red, were sitting on one of the bunks counting the gold they had taken from the trading post
Here's some more here.
when a signal knock came at the door.
Yeah, that's Jim. Let him in, somebody.
Yeah, I will. Come on in. Hey, Les. He just come aboard. I saw him.
Who just come aboard?
What are you talking about, Jim? Mountie and his dog. What? Sergeant Preston.
Holy smoke. How did he find out? What are we going to do? I'll take it easy. He doesn't have anything on us.
He'd recognize me, though.
So what if he does? Tell him you decided to go to Selkirk like others are doing.
Get that money out of sight, quick.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, hurry it up. Stick the bags under the mattress.
All right, put it. Hey, what if the Mountie comes here to this cabin?
Just sit tight and let me and Bert talk to him. What?
Yeah, that must be him.
Sit down on your bunk and keep quiet. Open the door, Bert.
Right. Well, Sergeant Preston and his dog. Well, hello, Sergeant.
Just the man I want to see.
Come on in.
Quiet, King. Well, traveling with friends, eh?
That's right. I decided after being burned out to go to Selkirk while I had the chance.
I thought they took all you had.
Oh, sure. Sure they did. I borrowed the money.
I see. But how do you account for the fact that King and I trailed you from the trading post after it was held up?
Oh, well, I was in there just before the robbery.
Seems to me you took quite a long route to reach the boat. All you had to do was go about a quarter of a mile down the street.
Well, I was afraid the Phantom Gang would be watching me.
Stop
so
lying. How could they know who you were or what you looked like? If, as you told me, you hid out while they robbed and burned your cabin.
I wasn't taking any chances.
One other thing. You rode your horse from your cabin to the cafe to tell me the news. Why didn't the gang see your horse outside your cabin?
Well, I wondered about that myself, Sergeant.
You're not leaving town, mister, and neither are your friends till I find out a few things.
Put up the gun. You don't have anything on this, Monty.
Hey, the dog! Get away from there, you mutt!
What's that, King? Huh? Edge of a money bag hanging from underneath that mattress.
Get away from there.
The money bag's from the trading post.
King watched as his master turned back the mattress and looked at the loot hidden underneath. The big dog at the same time saw Les reach for his gun, and the great dog sprang.
Get him off me! He got me by the wrist!
Wait, all of you. Don't move. Down, King. Down, fella.
You won't get me.
Get him, King.
No, I won't try to leave.
Down, fella. Watch him, boy.
I'll fix that mutt.
No, you don't.
Go! My ankle!
Anyone else want to try anything? I'll get over there and be quiet.
I heard something going on in here.
Yes, Captain, you did.
My ankle.
King and I are having a bit of trouble with the Phantom Gang.
Phantom Gang?
Great day. Tackled them alone, too.
Are they really the Phantom Gang, Sergeant?
Yes. Those money bags from the trading post there are proof enough. You'll be sailing without these 4 passengers, Captain.
Good. I don't like to have crooks and killers about the Yukon Belle. We'll weigh anchor as soon as you take them ashore, Sergeant.
I'll get them ashore right now, Captain. You'll give me a couple of men to help me take them to jail and Mike Quinn's money bags back to the trading post.
Sure. A couple of the boat hands will be glad to help. I want to cast off. There's a real blizzard blowing up out there.
Yes, I know. You'll make it to Selkirk before the ice sets in. Oh, you can carry the news that the so-called Phantom Gang's been caught.
Well, it was a brave thing you did. Coming into this cabin alone, feeling sure you were going to face the Phantom Gang.
I wasn't alone, Captain.
You weren't? Who else came with you?
King.
It was that mutt that kept us from giving you a bullet.
King resents being called a mutt.
Now, look, get him away from me, will you? I don't like the way he looks at me.
Easy, King. Back, boy.
King knows a crook when he sees one, I take it.
He sure does. This time he rounded up 4 of them. So thanks to King, the case of the Phantom Gang is closed. Hey, fella?
All you need to know. KNX 1070. News Radio.
Dramas are created and produced by George W. Trendle, directed by Fred Flowerday, and supervised by Charles D. Livingston. The part of Sergeant Preston is played by Paul Sutton. This is J. Michael wishing you goodbye, good luck, and good health. So long.
We We hope Drama Hour tomorrow night at 9. Join us for Hopalong Cassidy and Dragnet right here on KNX Los Angeles.